Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It is TNL, and thank you for stopping in today with me. Today, we're talking about how you can keep going in 2026 because I feel nowadays hope is something that's dwindling in our economy, in just the places that we live. And I'm here to remind you that there is still hope. There is still a chance for all of us, you included, listening, to succeed, to reach new heights, to reach new levels, to go absolutely crazy. Not just starting, not dreaming, not just planning it out, but, just to keep going, you know, because most years don't fail from big disasters that can happen in our lives. They fade out slowly. You don't crash, but you drift a little bit. And that's okay because we all tend to drift. You can get tired, you can get distracted, you can become very uncertain about your future and about things in your life. But before you know it, half the year's gone and you feel like you didn't even move at all. You didn't move towards your goals, you didn't move towards that thing that you wanted. So I'm not going to really relate to you how to blow up necessarily in 2026, but I'm going to be more realistic. And how can you keep going? How can you keep getting better, a percent better a day? You know, when life gets very heavy or it gets very quiet or it can get very boring, like how do you keep going? Because that's when most people tend to quit on themselves and on everything. You gotta you gotta stop expecting a new year to change you. You know, when this new year rolled around, I wanted to make the very smart decision, obviously, to stop smoking weed, right? But I have been struggling a little bit with it, going back and forth. It's always been a thing that's been with me. It seems like that's always calmed me down and always put me back on track, to my goals. But I knew deep down that it was just slowing me down. And it's one of those things where addiction is hard to beat. And it was hard for me to admit to myself that I was addicted at first. But you have to come to the awareness and the realization that some things aren't good for you. And the more you mitigate and the more you decrease certain things in your life, the better it will become. January doesn't change you. A new calendar doesn't fix your old habits that you used to have. And nothing magical happens overnight. So if you expect motivation to carry you throughout the year, you're going to burn out faster than you think you would, because motivation is more so emotional and emotions can fade very fast. So what actually changes your life? Systems, routine, small decisions that repeat over and over again, you know, even when you don't feel like it. Because 2026 won't be different because you feel different. It'll be different because you acted way differently than you did your previous years. You have to also kind of come back to reality. Shrink your life down to just today. Because I think that most people will get overwhelmed because they think way too far ahead at times. They think, what am I going to do with my life? Where should I be in 5 years? Am I behind? A lot of things start attacking their mental, and then they start overthinking, and then it just becomes a whole big thing, right? And I think that way of thinking is just way too big, at first at least. Nobody can carry that weight daily. It's hard, man. It's very hard out here. So, smart people shrink life down. Not how do I fix everything, but what's the next small win for me today? How can I win a portion of my day that can accumulate to a big win of the day. You could go to the gym. You could save $20. You could save $5 because you know you like to go get that coffee. You know you like to go get that small meal. You could study an hour, and studying doesn't even have to just reflect school, but just go learn something. Go learn a skill. Go learn something that's going to make you a better person. Go get you further in your life. Send an email to somebody. Film a video. Like, just stack small wins daily. Big visions can tend to overwhelm people. And even with me and smoking before, like, it's just stay sober. Don't even think about it. Keep yourself busy so you don't get distracted by these low vibrational things. Protect your energy like it's money, because nobody really teaches you that. Energy is another form of currency because every day you spend it on, maybe drama, maybe comparison to somebody on your feed, maybe arguing online with somebody. You're just wasting your energy. People who tend to drain you, maybe even, or just constant bad news. And then you wonder why you're exhausted and you're tired. Like, of course you're tired. You're leaking energy everywhere. And it's going to places that simply don't even matter. 2026 gets easier when you become very selective with your stuff, with your time, with your energy. Selective with who you talk to, what you consume, where your time goes. Because peace isn't passive, but it's protected. You have to expect boredom. And this is huge. You know, this might be one of the most important things that you don't hear a lot, but progress is very boring. It's very drawn out. It's not cinematic at times. It's not exciting. It's very repetitive. The gym gets boring. Saving money gets boring. Wouldn't you just want to blow all your money? Wouldn't that be more fun, right? Building skills gets boring. That doesn't mean it's not working though. It means it's normal. Most people quit not because it's hard, but because it's not exciting anymore. You can learn to tolerate boredom. You can automatically, if you can learn to tolerate boredom, you automatically can outlast 90% of people that can't stand the thought of being bored. You have to build a lot of trust within yourself, because motivation can be very unreliable, but self-trust is very stable. Self-trust is built when you keep promises to yourself, when you keep showing up even when it's inconvenient, when you follow through on the small things, the small wins. Every time you say you'll do something and don't, you weaken your own confidence. And you might not think you do, but it's weakened. Every time you follow through, you strengthen it. Confidence isn't a thing that's just built by hype, but it's evidence. It's evidence that you keep putting in every day. You keep building your repertoire. You keep building your resume. So moving on, please just stop measuring so often. Because if you check progress every day, it feels like nothing's happening sometimes. And that's how growth works, but it's invisible in real time. Think about this. Think about this. You don't notice yourself getting older daily, but a year later, huge difference. You feel like you've grown massively. Life is the same. Just stop digging up the seed every week to see if it's growing. Plant it, water it, and wait. And trust the process. Because if you do things, let's say you were weightlifting, if you do that for a year straight, you're gonna see a difference. You're gonna see a difference. If you stay consistent with it, week by week, like, you're gonna see a difference. Just wait. 2026 doesn't have to be your biggest year, right? It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be this or that. It just needs to be consistent, because consistency will always beat out intensity. every time. You don't need to sprint. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You just need to keep jogging, even when it's quiet. When it's boring, when nobody's clapping for you, when you're alone, because that's where real lives can be built upon, not in a very, oh, this is hype, just in a very patient way. But yeah, thank you for listening. It's TNL. Appreciate y'all. Peace out.